So let's start off with a simple introduction. Who are you? What do you do? And where can people find you?
Yeah, hey, so I am Kyle. I go by the stage name HardPokeMusic, and I create Pokemon themed electronic music. And so right now I started a channel on YouTube, and I'm trying to grow that channel and share my music around the world.
Okay. So with this video, I'm trying to find out what inspiration is, where it comes from, and how to use it to create interesting projects. So let's start at the very beginning. What inspired you to start Hard Poke Music and this project you're on?
Oh, that specifically, my wife gave me that idea, believe it or not. Um, let's go back a little bit further because the reason why she gave me that idea, and this goes back years and years and years. And so, just a brief history. I created content in high school. I did stuff for the school, basically made commercials, did some journalism stuff, all that type of stuff. Then I got into the music things, and typically when you're making content for other people, especially if they're paying you, they don't want copyrighted stuff, and so for the most part, it's all self-made stuff, and so that's when I really got into music, and I've been using digital audio workstations since 2009, basically. And so from there, then I started making my own music. I've had inspiration from some artists, so we could probably talk about that later. But then continuing on, I've made hundreds of songs by the time that we've gotten to even about 6 years ago. I created a podcast and was doing a podcast for a specific game, and I was doing all the audio work for that. So all the sound effects, intros, outros, commercials, having interviews, all that type of stuff. I would do all the audio work for that, and I would use my workstations for that, as well as I would make parody songs. And I had a lot of fun making those songs. And over the years, I've just developed, this. I guess you could call, like just the skill behind it and the creativity and working on making things better and all that type of stuff. And so I've been doing that podcast for 6 years. And my wife, so recently, about a year ago, I've always been into Pokemon since I was a kid. My daughter's 5. She's starting to get into the Pokemon type stuff. And so my wife and I decided to get back into like collecting the cards and all that type of stuff. And so we were watching the movies, and the movies have songs in them and all this type of stuff, and the games have music. And my wife is like, "How come, why don't you make Pokemon music?" And I was like, "I don't know. I haven't really thought about that until now because life gets busy. I had, podcasts and other stuff to do. I was like, well, I don't know. I could try coming up with some ideas, as to some catchy tunes, good lyrics, melodies, all that type of stuff. And so I didn't release them, but I made about 3 songs, and I had my wife preview them. And she, I mean, no critic is harder than myself, but she's pretty difficult to please in that sense. And so she doesn't like know a lot about electronic music and song structure and anything like that. And so, I kind of got the nod from that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to share this with other people that like electronic music like me, and especially if it's Pokemon themed. And so then I decided to start this YouTube channel just like a month or two ago. And so that's it. I mean, she was just like, "How come you don't? How come? why don't you make Pokemon music?" I'm like, "Yeah, good idea." And so that's kind of where the inspiration happened. But it comes with reason because she knew I did other audio work for other people too. So yeah.
Do you think your background with audio work, the podcast, and the content creation play a role into the music that you make and the skills that you have?
100%. Um, because I've been doing this for years and years and years, I'm so familiar with FL Studio, More recent, I got Logic Pro, which is for Mac, and that opened up a lot of new tools for me. It's a great workstation, and it opened up a lot of new tools as far as mastering goes. Instruments, their sound library is absolutely huge, and so just knowing the and being familiar with those workstations helps a lot. On top of, I've worked with voice actors in the past, and so that's not new to me. I know I can't sing, but what I can do is manipulate a voice however I want. And so I know auto tune, I know how to change sense and all that. And so I'm like, if I can get somebody to actually sing decently for me, then I can do the rest. And so that was a hurdle as well. And so, and then with that is knowing song structure and trying to find melodies and all that type of stuff. And so there's tools for that. But yeah, I mean, I forgot the question, but I hope that answered it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it definitely helped over the years because, it'd be hard for somebody just starting up like, hey, I want to make music. And then you ask them like, what are you doing? Are you beating on a bucket, for a beat, or do you have any sort of instrumental experience, anything like that? Using synthesizers and drum kits and stuff on a computer program is a bit different, but some of the same musical knowledge still applies. You got to know tempo, you got to know octaves and keys and all that type of stuff, and so it does come with a learning curve, and the best way to learn it is to be in that. I didn't start out making professional music by no means. I was on GarageBand creating crappy beats for a school show that I probably had no business doing. But over the years, I gradually got better and better. Was looking at other artists and seeing how they created stuff. I started to specify which genres I liked the best in electronic music, and then went from there and learned how those sounds were made and learned how those songs were structured and went from there. So, it's definitely a learning curve in this industry, in this area, but some people catch on to it a lot quicker. But these programs, they could throw a lot at you. If
yeah,
you've ever dealt with anything like, CAD programs, digital audio workstations, or even video editing software, like you got all these tools. You're like, I don't even know where to start, what to do. Like, how do you slice a video? How do you do this? It's the same concept basically.
yeah. I was in band myself, and I find this audio work for my videos to be quite challenging. It's my first time doing something like this.
Yeah, for sure. What do you play?
I played trombone and saxophone.
Nice, nice. I
Uh,
did the French horn when I was in high school.
oh, I hear that's the hardest one.
Kind of, I don't know. I thought I was the lame one.
Mm,
I wanted to be trumpet so bad, and they didn't. They had too many trumpet players, and so they gave me
uh,
the French horn. But later, I realized in the electronic industry, the French horn is actually a badass instrument. I'm sorry if I swear,
it's perfectly fine.
yeah, I thought I was the lame one.
Yeah. All my bandmates would make fun of me for playing the trombone because it was the uncoolest instrument in the band. That's why I switched to a saxophone.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like either.
Mm,
I like all instruments, man. Even,
okay.
the cello. I love violin. I love the cello. The oboe. My wife plays the electric violin. She also did some flute. I'm more of a guitar trombone guy, so I like the brass definitely, but I also like harmonics and choirs and all that type of stuff. And so we'll probably get into it later, but I got some future stuff that involves only orchestra
Oh,
stuff. So
wow.
it's super cool. Hopefully you like it. But yeah, we can talk
Yeah.
about that later.
But speaking of genre, why did you choose electronic music?
It's I have all the tools readily available to me to be able to do electronic music. I'm most knowledgeable in electronic music and just digital synthesizers and all of that type of stuff. Um, I could sit up here and play an acoustic guitar or an electric guitar for you, and I just don't think audibly it would be as good. Some people like that type of content, all that, but I would rather import it to an MIDI and just play a riff or something and then go from there and see how it sounds. And at least with that, with electronic music, believe it or not, like a lot of music that you hear on the radio is basically electronic music. There is real people and all that stuff behind it, but it all goes through softwares to enhance vocalization, reverb, chorus, et cetera, et cetera. And it's all manipulated through softwares and all that type of stuff to sound professional, basically, and mastering process. And so, with that, I think it's the best route to go because I'm so knowledgeable in these DAWs. To be able to do that, it's just easier for me to be able to do that. So, um, as far as the genre, though, I love electronic music. Uh, I actually like a lot of musics. I don't have a genre that I don't really care for. All the way from rock and R&B to country to hard style, which is like some of the higher tempo of electronic music, and you'll see that in some of my music where I implement my first album. I actually tried four different genres in my first album. Not to say that I won't try more because I am open to that. But I've started with some of the genres that I personally like to make. And so I went from
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any artists that you try to imitate in your art?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Back in the day, I used to listen to and this is the guy that got me into hardstyle
Okay.
from like 2006 to present. It's a DJ by the name of Headhunters, and he's a notorious hardstyle DJ in that scene, and he's considerably one of the best. Just when it comes to melodies and song structure, and the types of songs that he creates, is some of the best music that you'd hear. I mean, in all honesty, I think he's got it all. The sound engineering behind all that stuff would blow your mind. By the way, just the sound engineering of how they make it sound like look cinematic and sound that way with deep chorus and all the stuff that they do in that scene. I'm like, it just amazes me as to what you can do on a computer program to make the songs that they do. So he was number one back in the day when I started making music for myself, not for anybody else. um, I would listen to his songs and then I would try copying the beat. I would actually take his songs because they would release like there's a website called Nonstop 2K, and what they do is they have MIDI files of popular
Okay.
dance songs or electronic music, and you could take the melody of his song and you can bring it over into your program and you can assign any instrument you want to it. And so I would actually try to copy his song but make it myself. Copy the beat, copy the song structure, try and copy the synthesizers, all that type of stuff. And then over the years, I've done that. I know how these songs are made, and so I'm like, okay, I can do this on my own, basically. So, Headhunters number one, Wild Styles another guy in that scene. He's a good buddy of Headhunters. They actually pair a duo called Project One. Techno Boy, popular. He's very popular in that scene as well. I know by the name he says techno, but he's actually a hardstyle DJ. Again, he's got the best reverse bass beats you've ever heard. Just he knows how to rock the house. It's absolutely amazing. And on especially in that scene, they have events that like DEF CON, Climax isn't around anymore, but there's one called Climax, and they would have a theme, And so they would play that theme and go from there. And the cinematics of it all, and how they produced the music with actual choirs and ensembles and all that stuff was like absolutely amazing. So I was like, you know what, that's the stuff that I like, as well as like I like basic trance music, like Paul Oakenfold and Armin van Buuren. He's he's big nowadays. Tiesto back in the day. So those guys too were also pretty influential for me back in the day when I first started this, because I was listening to their music quite a bit, and I would just listen for all the little things. Their electronic music is very complicated, so it's like you can't just listen to. And this is a personal issue for me. I know I'm getting into the depths here. When I
No,
listen
we
to a
like that.
song, when I listen to a song, I'm not listening to just the lyrics. I'm listening to what the beat sounds like when they decided that the to take the way, like the snare, or to include the snare, or include a clap, or include a cymbal, or take it away, or take everything away, or insert a chorus. And I'm like, this is very interesting on how they decided to make this. Believe it or not, Cardi B, I love listening to her beats because they're so interesting. It's not even the words. It just just the beats, man. I'll be like, oh man, this is awesome. And Megan Thee Stallion too. Like her beats are freaking fire. I love them. And so uh, I listen to that and I go into the depths. And yeah, cool. It's a good song. I get it. But I am ruined by digital audio workstations to where I know, okay, this is her vocals, this is her percussion, this is her synthesizers, all that type of stuff, and I break it down into like how the song was made and all that type of stuff. I was like, man, that stuff just fascinates me. I love it, and I want to like recreate it as best as I can because I know how. But I try not to copy. I don't want to copy when I'm creating music. So that's the thing, is all my music is original music. It's not copied. So I am proud to say that. But I do listen to a lot of different artists for inspiration in that sense. Yeah.
Throughout your art journey, when you were learning how to create music, did you ever pick up bad habits from your inspirations and the artists that you liked?
Um, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what a bad habit would be in this realm. Um, I used the explosion sound quite a bit back in the day, and I think that was a bad habit. Though I thought it sounded good, it did not sound good on speakers whatsoever. So granted, I'm like in a studio. I have like a studio set up in front of me, and I got good headphones, and I listen to it here. But when you after you master it and you export it, and you listen to it in a car speakers or TV speakers or something, it just doesn't sound good. And so that's why I like to listen to these songs on different types of speakers just to see, what's the best. I think that was a habit that I broke because I would just use my headphones and be like, "Oh yeah, this is good stuff." I listen to it and then they're like, it doesn't bump." I'm like, "What do you mean it doesn't bump?" You know what I mean? And so I broke that habit by listening to this music, my music, on different platforms and not just using my headphones. So that was one instance. There's possibly others. I don't remember.
But from early on to your career to right now, what do you think was the biggest improvement and what led to that improvement?
Oh, 100% Logic Pro, using that software. Just the mastering techniques of that software, as well as the sound bank, basically the samples that they provide in that software. So my wife got a hookup on the Apple suite, you could say. And so, because she got her master's degree and she was able to get these softwares, and because she was able to get those softwares, she's able to share them with me because I'm on the same account. And so I was able to get Logic Pro for a relatively cheaper price than what most people pay. And so we've had that for years. And then most recently, for my podcast, I wanted to upgrade to a Mac. I've been using Windows forever. I wanted to get into Mac for the content creation side of things. And when I did that, that's when I started learning Logic Pro and getting familiar with that. And that opened up a lot of stuff. Mostly the mastering side of things and the sound library is absolutely huge. Whereas in FL Studio, which is, I still use it because I'm really familiar with it, and sometimes it's easier for me to do things in there. But with FL Studio, then you have to buy sound packs, and it's like, okay, I want these kicks. And so then you go to this sketchy website, and then they provide you 3 surveys, and then you finally get a download link, and then your email is compromised. Like, I don't want to do that, you know? Logic Pro just makes it so much easier for that type of stuff. And the sound samples are absolutely brilliant. You've heard them. If you've heard any of my music, you've most likely heard those exact sound samples because it's like orchestra stuff, it's kicks, it's synthesizers, all that type of stuff. It's in there and it's great. And they got professional packs and all that type of stuff, and it's absolutely game changing. FL Studio, I love that program to death, but it's very uh, yeah, you kind of have to go and search it yourself, and then that could cause problems too. So yeah, that was the biggest one.
Okay. Let's talk about where you are right now. What's a project that you're working on or that you recently completed?
Oh, okay. So right now, I'm on to my third album. The second one I released on Apple Music, and um, it's all retro music. I used 8-bit, 16-bit, just synthesizers, and I've seen those synthesizers. I've used them in the past, but never to make music. I've used them to like make sound effects and all that type of stuff. But um, and and the funny thing is there was inspiration there because me creating videos for this YouTube channel for my first album, um, I was like, okay, well, I need to create videos for these songs. So what do I do? Well, I want to play a Pokemon game, one of the retro games. And so, but the problem is YouTube will flag me for copyrighted music. Why don't I just make my own? I can make my own music. I'm not worried about it. So if I stream the game and I play my own music, then I shouldn't have to worry about it at least too much. And so that's what kicked off as making my own music for basically my own stream that I have yet to do. I haven't recorded any of that footage, but I released that album on Apple Music and other music platforms, all that type of stuff, because I wanted to get it out there. And it's 25 songs, so that was grinding, all electric, 8-bit, 16-bit type stuff. But moving forward, after I got that done, I wanted to create and I'm currently in the process of creating an orchestral, like a cinematic orchestral version of some of my more popular songs. And also, I'm trying to include new songs. And so I'm coming up with preludes, um, new music, basically solo, piano solos, all that type of stuff, and trying to make it, I don't want to say Broadway-ish, but Broadway is kind of the closest to what I'm visioning. I mean, granted, if you've ever been to a live play or show at your school or anything like that, then you kind of know like how that appears. And so that's why I'm trying to make that's what I'm trying to vision when making these songs. I want it to be cinematic or theatrical, I could say, and have those powerful solos, have powerful choirs, have brass ensembles and electric violins, um, all that type of stuff. And so I've been using sound damn those sound files to be able to create that type of stuff and include reverb that makes it sound like you're inside of a hall, like a church, And so that's the current project. And so far, I have 9 completed tracks, and my goal is 12. And I have had other people listen to these songs, people that are close to me, and they say that it's better than the last, right? Because they hear the original version. I'm like, okay, I tried a different singer this time, so let's see how she did it, and then I would hint from there. So when I get these vocal samples, I've actually shared them on other discords. I don't know if I've shared them on yours necessarily, but I'd be like, man, she was belting it. Like, I cannot believe she did such a good job on this song that I can possibly root it, and I don't want to root it, but it's like, dang, the expectations are there and the pressure is there and all that type of stuff. And it's like, man, I really hope that I can include a choir. And basically, too, was I designed these songs so they can be sang live, like in front of an audience at a show, in a movie, and anything like that. And so the song structure for that is in its own realm. And so I that's what this entire album is for. And so and more recently, as of this last week, I got in touch with a K-pop singer, and I am working with her on a new song as well. And so I got some of the first vocal samples yesterday and started playing around with that. And so another very fun genre. If you're not familiar with K-pop, it's interesting. It's cool. I like the song structure. I like what they do, and what they do with their vocals and all that type of stuff. It's just very interesting to me. I like it. So that's probably going to be a few months down the road by the time that actually comes out. But like I said, I got some of the vocal samples yesterday, and they sound great already. And I'm trying to figure which direction I should take that, and go from there. But as far as my cinematic orchestral album, what I'm currently working on and trying to release by the end of the month, shoot, I don't. My goal is August 1st, and I still have to write at least three more songs, and that's the difficulty part.
Yeah. So you mentioned on this orchestral album, there's 12 songs.
That's the goal. Yep.
Like, that's a lot of songs. So how do you go from nothing to idea to a song? Is there a process that you go through?
So there's a few tools. We My wife and I, we watch the Pokemon movies, and so there's like some inspiration there. My daughter, she likes certain types of Pokemon. So far, my inspiration has been the Pokemon that I like. So Mewtwo and Mew and Rayquaza and Pikachu and all that type of stuff. And so I create songs involving them in some sort of way. Eternatus is another one. And so when I'm developing songs for the Pokemon that I like, per se. I like a lot of Pokemon, but those ones, it's like I know the story of them. I know the lore. I can create a song, I think, in what would be a good storytelling aspect, all that type of stuff. And so beyond the actual ones that I want, now I'm trying to explore other themes like battling, like collecting the cards, stuff like that. And so I'm just trying to think of other aspects and avenues as to creating some of these songs to make it storytelling, anything like that, and get inspiration from basically the movies, other Pokemon, what people like, the storytelling behind it, all that type of stuff. And so the difficulty is trying to write catchy lyrics that will uh, basically make a good song. Like, I just don't want to just talk about a certain Pokemon and then say, "Hey, here's a song." Um, there's some standards that I have that I'm trying to meet when it comes to that. So I have one on my upcoming album. Uh, it's about Ninetales, and if you know Ninetales, in the story on the show, Ninetales had an owner. It ended up his owner went away, ended up passing away, and then Ninetales was basically left alone for 1,000 years. And then the and, Ash and company, they come and they get they kind of get brainwashed by this Ninetales, perceiving this virtual reality around them, and it turns out that he had lost its owner. But Ninetales, just in general, is a fan favorite Pokemon. Once you know some of the lore behind it and all that type of stuff, and it's like, okay, how can I create this as a like an emotional song? Should I include a piano? Should I include an electric violin? Should I do an acoustic guitar? Then there's a lot of things that go into play when writing a song like that, and so there's difficulty, and so that currently is kind of my issue. Um, Now, I did say there's some other tools, and I know it's highly frowned upon, but believe it or not, YouTube has an AI assistant basically, and what they do is they would recommend inspiration based off of what I've currently created. And so, like, you could take pointers from that. It's like, do I want to do that though? It kind of sounds lame, you know what I mean? But they might have a good idea. So that's just for me. Say somebody who's making other video content has that tool available to them, that might work for them, you know. But for me, it's like, yeah, that sounds cool and all, but then I have to think of, you know, um, the song structure, how I want it to sound, the storytelling aspect behind it, and to make it interesting and all that type of stuff. And so there is that too, but maybe it's not as popular. Maybe it is more popular than I know, but I just don't really use it.
Do you ever have an idea for a song, but halfway through the production you realize that it just won't work?
Yep, all the time. I have so much music that goes unreleased, basically. And this goes back years and years and years when I'm doing songs for the podcast, and I would do parody songs, and so I would actually record the vocals, do all the instruments, get it ready, and then I listen to it. I'm like, I can't release this. There's no way I can release this. It just does not sound good. I don't think my audience will like it. Like I said, I am my hardest critic. So if I don't think it's up to par for people to listen to, I straight up won't release it. And I have a lot of those songs. Some of it is you kind of lose the inspiration. Um, Halfway through a project, you get busy or you get inspiration for another song that maybe you want to prioritize. Because I've had that happen too. It's like, um, for instance, okay, so this is not my day job whatsoever. I have a day job and a career, and I've made music and did podcasting and content creation for years and years and years as a hobby. So this is kind of my transition to make it not a hobby anymore and kind of do that at a more professional level. And so I've made music for my work, for content creation, specifically for my job. And there's stuff I made for them where it's like, I don't, we did all the recording and we did all the scripting and everything like that, and I didn't release it. And because mostly the direction of it just changed, just like that. And then they're like, you know what, we'll put that on pause and we're going to start something else, and we're going to do this because either it's a trend or whatever. And I get these bright ideas, and I go from there, and then that other project just gets left in the dust, so, and then I don't ever get back to it, or I do, and then it's just like, I use different techniques nowadays, and so I don't really want to do that. And then you don't want to go through the hassle of re-recording and all that stuff, and so there's projects that just get kicked to the side. It's good practice, I mean, if you think about it, but definitely that is a thing when in this realm, for sure.
There's a lot of people that believe that any idea could be turned into a good song, and it's just about the work that you put into it. So, do you believe in that?
100%. Yep. There. Okay, so for instance, I'll give you an idea. Again, this is inspiration. Uh, I wake up to an alarm. A lot of people do. And so I wanted to change up my alarm. This is relatively recently, like within the last 2 years. I was like, okay, I don't want to. I got a new phone, and so I'm setting up my alarms, all that stuff, and I wanted to change it. I changed it to a song, like from a popular artist. I changed it to a song that I like, and then I did that for a couple days, and I was like, oh, now I'm gonna change it again. But then I realized what I actually wanted was a song that I was like, why am I? What if I just make something that I actually want to wake up to? And so I created my own alarm, and it was an accidental banger. It was so good. I ended up sharing it to be. There's probably hundreds of people that wake up to my alarm because I've shared it to a lot of people, and it's catchy. It bumps. There's brass. There's swearing. It's like it's hype. All the stuff. It's like okay, I'm awake type of thing. It's absolutely. And then I created it as a song, and that just came from an idea like why am I listening to other people's music or default ringtones when I could wake up to something that I make? And I wake not only do I wake up to it, my wife wakes up to it, my two dogs wake up to it, like the entire house wakes up to my alarm. It's absolutely great. But yeah, that's just one of those things. Like they came from an idea, also work related. Had another idea of a popular saying of mine, and I turned it into a song. And my boss loved it. My coworkers love it. They jam out to it. Everybody at every other site jams out to it. They're like, hey, "That doesn't sound like you." I'm like, "Well, yeah, I know. That it was purposely made like that." And and management, all them, they're like, "Man, we love this song." And I was like, "Well, okay, you just came off an idea basically, and I turned it into a song. Now, sometimes when you try too hard and you come up with ideas and then it gets difficult, then the try hard aspect of it kind of overrides some of the originality of what could be a good song. And so I try not to think too hard when it comes to that stuff. And so yeah, that's basically it on that. But any idea, like you come up with something, you just name something. There might be a song about it already.
You seem like a very creative guy, ideas coming from everywhere, but do you ever have a creative block where you just can't think of anything?
Yep. I will go probably weeks without finding some sort of inspiration or creative direction on something where I get stuck. Either something comes up and I don't want to say it's like stress related or I don't know. It's like maybe I instead of listening to music, I want to listen to podcasts, just people comedy podcasts or whatever. And so I kind of get out of it, take a break from it for a little bit and then come back. And so that's what I did, especially after my retro album. I got it get you get burnt out, believe it or not. I'm like, I don't want to listen to this anymore. It gets to like a love-hate relationship. You do it so much, then you don't want to do it anymore. And it's like, and then you want to take a break from it. And those breaks are good. I believe in that 100%. And so if it's not for those breaks, and then, you eventually got to come back. And it's like, okay, well, I do have a thing that I want to do. I want to create more music. But there's times where you have to take breaks. You have to just get maybe some other inspiration. Um, I listen to other music, listen to podcasts, and see what they're doing, and maybe they do something that I like, and I'm just like, okay, maybe I can implement that type of sound or whatever into my music and see if it sticks basically. And what I told a coworker the other day, because I was telling them about me working on the YouTube channel and all this type of stuff, and he's asked me like what's coming up, and I tell him, and so but I also tell him what other people in this genre are doing, and he's like, why don't you do that? I'm like, yeah, but no. um, and so just trying to do that. And so some of it is like research, basically, and trying to figure out what the trend is. And then so you'll take a break because of that. And eventually you come back to it. But really, it for me, I, I feel like sometimes I just get burnt out and I want to finish a song hastily. And then at the end of the day, then I don't like it. And if I can't get behind a song, I'm not going to release it straight up. And so I try to do the finish. I try to make deadlines, and so I make those deadlines, or I attempt to, and go from there.
What's the difference between a song that you do like and a song that you don't? What's the grading criteria?
Lyrics, 100%. Uh, I will write a song, record it, get somebody to sing it, all import instruments and all this stuff, and then I listen to it in my car and be like, I don't like it. I this verse needs to be rewritten. I don't know what to tell you. Like I just can't get behind that verse. Like I use an app called Lyric, and what it does is it's I don't know, kind of AI ish, I guess you could say, but it will recommend certain words based off of consonants and whether or not it rhymes, all that type of stuff. And so when you're writing music and it recommends certain things to you, it sounds good at the time, but then when you hear it on the final product, and it's like, oh shoot, now I got more work ahead of me. Reach out to the person. Hey, can you do this verse again? You know, can it be rewritten into a different harmonic? Does it match the melody that I'm trying to create? Most of the time, melodies come from the harmonics, 100%. It's like, okay, sing it in 7 different ways, and I'm gonna see what I like the best, and then I'll create ensembles on based off of that. But dang, I get lost in thought. I forgot what the question was, but I hope I answered it.
Yeah, it was a good answer. But right now in the music world, I'm seeing there's a big divide in whether good music is vibes based if it just sounds good versus if the lyrics are actually meaningful and resonate with the audience. What's your opinion on that?
Um, yeah, I definitely see a lot of low effort music out there. Not to say that it's not music. Um, it may be good for context that I don't know about. You know what I mean? It's like these maybe somebody is just making a parody song just to poke fun at a buddy. I've done that. I want to make fun of somebody, and so I'm going to record a song that makes fun of them, and I've done that a lot. And to somebody else that may be listening to it, be like, this is shit. Like, why would I listen to this? And that you're listening to it out of context. But then you get these major production, artists and popular artists, and they release a song and it gets number one and it's on billboards and all this stuff, and it's more pushy. Yes, it's produced higher. You got actual writer. You got sometimes upwards of like 10 writers on a song, which is kind of funny to me. But yeah, it's definitely two different realms. Now, sorry. I like to stay optimistic when it comes to that. When say if you were to make a song and you think it's good, hey, I'm all for it. Like it's probably not something that I would make, but hey, man, you're doing good. So there is like stuff like that, and good music to me, it's got to be catchy. It's got to have at least decent lyrics. Um, but I've heard song. I mean, granted, live in a realm where I listen to music that has no lyrics, and so it's all song structure basically from there. But when you do listen to songs with lyrics, then yeah, I mean, it should work, right? So, but again, there's songs out there that are made for a specific purpose, and I think a lot of people have to realize that there's purpose out there for creating a song and sharing it publicly like that. And Of course, people are going to criticize and all that type of stuff, but I mean that's okay. It's like I'm not trying to cater to you. So yeah, I mean that's really all I had on that.
Yeah. Well, I'm out of questions, so I'm just gonna give the floor to you to give any advice to upcoming artists or to promote whatever you want to promote.
Sure. Inspiration can really come from anywhere, and I really thought about this as to over the years and the inspiration that I've gotten and received and implemented and all that type of stuff. I am in no means a content creator with millions of subscribers. I did a what I call a low effort podcast. It's actually a really good podcast, sound engineering, all that type of stuff, with a few hundred subscribers and all that. Because, like I said, it's not really a popular game, but just with the experience and all that, talking with people, um, anybody could really be a content creator nowadays, and really just comes down to either inspiration or the ability to get in front of a camera and talk about what you want to talk about and do what you want to do, and then get a following behind it, right? And so when you find out what you want to do, um, go for it. Basically, there's a lot of people that will be on YouTube and they say, yeah, make your first video, don't care about views, and quality over quantity, and some people are saying quantity over quality, and because they're either chasing clicks or trends or clickbait, any of that type of stuff. And I don't really agree with clickbait. I never used that in any of my titles or thumbnails or anything like that, because when I click on those videos, I get that feeling too when, oh, I clicked on this trendy video and it turned out to be absolute crap. I feel those people, and so I'm like, yeah, I don't want to create clickbaity stuff just for clicks and views and all that type of stuff. And so, there's that. But other people have different morals, so it's like there's morals and in a way ethics, but anybody nowadays can be a content creator. Do what you want to do. You got to start from somewhere. And for me, it's music. I love music. Music is an escape for me. You know, finding inspiration can come hard at times, but eventually it comes, and so you try and make something of it. But share it with the people that are close to you, and you never know, something might come up. I made a song as a joke to make fun of my coworker, and my boss heard it because it was actually pretty good, and she loved it. And then she gets a corporate assignment basically, and she's like, "Oh, you know what? I know somebody who's perfect at this stuff." And then look, now I'm creating content for work. Like, I didn't ask for that. I didn't, I just wanted to poke fun at a coworker, and here I am creating videos. And I can't really get in depth with that because it's all proprietary, but uh, I just didn't think that I would be doing that. And it's like, okay, well, if you want me to do that full time, I can. I mean, I don't mind it. I actually like that type of stuff. I have the creativity to be able to do that. And so you never know what's going to come of it. Like when I was doing the podcast, sorry, sorry about that. Holy moly. When I was doing the podcast, the I had this bright idea to apply to other podcasts, like professional podcasts. And they went, and this was before I had my Mac, and they want specific credentials basically. And it's like, well, I don't have that. I did this as a hobby, and that was like 2 years into my podcast. I know how to create podcasts. I know how to do all the sound engineering behind it. And then it's like, if I want to create a professional podcast or at least be part of that team and be paid for it, then they had certain credentials that I didn't have. And so I'm like, okay, well, how do I get those credentials? So then I get programs. They want Logic and they want Pro Studio experience and all this. And I'm like, okay, well, let me just apply to these and see what they have to say, right? And of course, they all get denied. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll just continue getting my rapport up, basically, creating low effort podcasts, get the experience, basically, because creating content doesn't matter if it's good or bad, you're still getting experience, whether it's being in front of a camera, the editing aspect of it, storytelling, anything like that. You're getting experience and then you're learning off of that and you reflect off that experience. You're like, oh, instead of me jumping off, from out of a tree, maybe I should do something different and it would be more appealing. I don't know, even though that sounds pretty appealing to some. Depends on your comedy style too. I tend to be a jokester. So when I'm creating video content, I put a lot of jokes in that stuff, and it's actually pretty funny when it comes to the videos that I produce for work, because I do implement those comedy styles, and that comes from just personality, the way that I think, the comedy that I like, because it's more of a dry comedy. But and they understand that because they know me. They're like, "Oh yeah, you would do that," type of thing. And so that is more inspiration to create funnier videos of the stuff that I like to do. And then if people like it, you get the laughs, right? You get the reactions, and it just wants you just want to create more. It's addicting, But at the end of the day, too, I mean, to some people, it is a job. For me, it's not a job. And so I don't have that pressure. I have a career that pays the bills. This isn't paying my bills. And so I don't have that pressure under me to create content. I can go to San Diego for 4 days and not have to think about, oh man, I have to get this song done. I have to work, 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 work. I have a video deadline I need to do. I need to do this. I need to do that. It's not there. And so I think people got to separate, you know, work life balance, content creation, life balance, all that type of stuff. So, like I said, yeah, I was in the podcasting world. I mean, I still am. I've been busy a number of weeks, and so I haven't been doing it as much recently. But I wanted to create a second podcast, a second channel to get more views. And, I get all this set up and I get a soundboard and I get the mics and the cameras and everything. And then my wife's like, do you have time to do a second podcast like that? Oh, I'm going to do it after work. No, it doesn't happen that way. I get home, I'm tired, the kid wants attention. I just want to do something else, like play games or something. And so then that project, we had one episode and then it got sidelined. So it's like, yeah, you know what? I don't really have the time for this. And so um, there is that aspect of it too. But yeah, it's crazy. It can be fun. It can be life changing for a lot of people. Definitely the learning curve is there. Like, you got to be able to learn the programs and the stuff. And some people, you'll see content of just them recording themselves talking inside of a car. Believe it or not, like there, even though it may seem low effort, there is still some editing involved. There is still some knowledge involved of creating a channel, uploading it to YouTube, sharing it, that type of stuff. And you got to build like that kind of media network as to where you're going to share it. What I started with, because I think Discord is the best social media out there right now, as far as talking to people and all that type of stuff. The tools that we have in Discord is amazing. I've been using Discord for a number of years now, especially for podcasting and connecting with people. And I've developed communities and all that. Well, when I started my HardPokeMusic channel, then I joined a lot of Pokemon related discords and founder. I'm not sure exactly how I got to yours because, like I said, I joined a lot. I'm on over 200 discords, and so when I'm doing the sharing, I'll find the appropriate sharing channel, all that type of stuff. Now, what I can do is, I have an Instagram account, I have a TikTok account, I have a Facebook account, I have all that stuff. And You got to have all that stuff in order to be able to get the clicks and the views and the reputation that comes off of that and all that. So it's very much a learning curve. You got to be able, if you already have all that social media, then you're already halfway there. You just have to figure out how to upload. You know what I mean? And or create decent content, come up with good ideas. It could be literally anything. I could just sit here and be like, here's a tip for the day. Create one video a day, it doesn't matter on what it is. Okay. All right. Either people will decide to click on it and listen to it, take that information, or they'll click on it and be like, okay, this guy's full of crap, and they unsubscribe or whatever. That's okay, because the next one you might actually have a better tip. You know what I mean? And go from there. And then it may get, they may start a trend. Some of the trends nowadays are pure comedy, and I love it. And it's like, well, that's not my content style, but for my channel, but that is comedy that I can implement into other content that I do, say, for work. And so there's that too. And yeah, so like I said, for me, it's a hobby. It's not a day job. Do I want it to be a day job? I wouldn't mind it. It's definitely less taxing on my body to be able to do this than it is for my current career. But um, to be able to do this professionally, get paid, however much to be able to do it. At least if I could pay the bills, I'd be happy. And so um, that's what I'm aiming for. Like, I want to create this channel. I want to create good music. Maybe somebody will be able to see it and be like, this guy's actually good. He's got some good ideas. The sound engineering behind some of this stuff. Maybe they have questions like, hey, what do you use for a brass orchestra? Okay, well, I'll tell you, I put 10 trombones in there or 10 trumpets. I'll throw a couple, tubas in there for the low end stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's not that hard to create an ensemble. And you throw a reverb on it and maybe a little bit of a chorus to duplicate it technically. And then it sounds real. It's like, why are we doing this? Or how, I'm perfectly capable of answering those questions. And, um, so, I'm okay with that. But, and maybe someday that will become a thing. Maybe my actual career path will be in content creation specifically for them. And then I'm on that payroll. I'm already on that payroll, just not on that job title. And so because they believe it or not, they pay me to create content for them. But it's not like separate, as it's not like I'm making millions of dollars or anything off of that. But you know it could come from nothing, man. Just you got to be able to go out there and try things and edit video and all that. I've looked at your channel and I see what you're trying to achieve with your channel, and man, dude, I'm all for it. I'm all for trying to create, because I was once in your position, throwing stuff at a wall, seeing what sticks, and it's like, okay, and then you got to learn some of your editing techniques. I find to be pretty funny, to where you duplicate yourself, right? Where
Yeah.
you record yourself in three different aspects, and then you include them in the same video scene. And I was like, I know what he's doing,
I,
and I know what he's trying. So I like that stuff. I don't want to coach you per se. Now I could get behind you as far as audio work and all that. Video editing, I am pretty knowledgeable on that, but maybe not as knowledgeable as, say, others. And, I would just say, man, just continue what you got going, and build on it, get better. The experience is definitely going to be good, and go from there, man. You never know. Like I said, it could be life changing for certain people. And sometimes it doesn't always go well, right? Because you see a lot of these influencers and content creators. It's like, okay, well, now they're getting arrested or shot at or whatever else, and it's just it's like you hear it in the media, and it's more and more prevalent. Believe it or not, money changes people, and sometimes it's not in a good way. And so trying to find that, it's like, because a lot of people grew up not having money, and then when they hit the social media fame, all of a sudden now they have money, and then they want to do stupid things and they don't know what to do basically anymore, and then drugs are involved and people are getting arrested, and it's just like, I don't want to ever be that way. So that's why, and it's not, that's just me as a person. I'm not gonna, I like, when I was creating the podcast, I wasn't monetizing off of it. It was solely just a non-monetized, low effort podcast just to get news out there and talk with people and do interviews and just get the social aspect out of it, and go from there. It wasn't for clicks, it wasn't for views, it wasn't to try and get sponsors or anything like that. It was never that. Now, who's to say that this channel won't be? Maybe I am trying to get a sponsor. Maybe I am trying to maybe make an income off of it. And that is really kind of the goal when anybody starts a YouTube channel, is they want to monetize it. They want to create clickbait titles to get the subscribers, to be able to get the the subscribers and the ads to start flowing in. I mean, once you actually see how much money it makes, like, is it even worth it? My day job pays better, honestly, for the time and effort that I put into it compared to this. Maybe not this. What I'm doing now is a lot more effort and time consuming and actually expensive, than anything else I've ever done. Because believe it or not, other people have to get paid, which is perfectly understandable. And so, like, there is that aspect of it too. Some people just say, when it comes to content creation, you just use your phone camera. You don't need studio equipment. You don't need a backdrop or an office or anything specific. You can go out by a tree and start talking to people and get a video out there. You don't really need a lot of professional equipment to be able to create content. And that is true. What I have now was in development over years. I bought this house last year, and this was the first time that I was actually able to have an office to where I can turn it into a studio for streaming. And so then that changed things, because before I was using a green screen, and I was in my, believe it or not, a laundry room with a green screen behind me in front of a camera talking to people doing interviews. They didn't know that there's a washer and dryer behind me, but we gotta make it work, right? You gotta
Yeah.
do things and make it work. And so the struggles and being able to overcome that, and even then you get all that and you still get criticized, which some are a bit more harsh than others. The criticism is generally always there, and you see it on videos with hundreds of millions of views. Maybe not. Yeah, there's a few videos out there with billion views, or billions of views. But you look at people that do like crafting, and you look at the comments, and it's like, oh, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? You should have done this. You should have done that. The criticism is there, and the content creators, they see the comments. At least if they're small enough, they probably read every comment, and they take that criticism, and then they decide what they want to do with it. Do they want to reply to it? Do they change what they're doing to satisfy one person? Doubt it. But the criticism is always there, and you got to be able to take criticism. And I do believe that there is constructive criticism. It's like, yeah, you're making good content, but here, you could do this better. Don't take it harsh, but you could do this better. You compare it to other people or other content creators that are doing the same thing or attempting to. And you have to be able to take some criticism. I'm used to it. I'm almost numb to it. It seems like, but I've taken criticism for years, either on sound quality. There one time my power went out and people got mad about it. I'm like, there's certain things that I don't have. I can't do anything about. Do I need to upgrade my setup? Okay, yeah, maybe sometimes the criticism comes with certain things that I was doing, and yeah, it money or upgrades requires money, and so there was that. But then when it came to making content creation for my career, the criticism is there too because one, you have to make it look professional, and there's certain things that need to be in place, and it's got to be absolutely perfect. If it's not absolutely perfect, then there's criticism from higher ups that would be like, "What kind of sketchy operation you got going on here? Hmm? Are you following all the rules, or do we have to like come and audit you because maybe you're spending all your time creating content instead of working? You know what I mean? Type thing." And so like there's that you have to worry about it, and it's like, you know what, you got to be able to get over it and start a new day and get a new idea and run with it and all that type of stuff. And I mean, like I said, I'm not a content creator with millions of subscribers or anything like that. What I do know is getting the social aspect of it and out of people and doing interviews and all that type of stuff, and doing that for years and years and years, and talking with a lot of people, and listening and watching what other content creators are doing and learning on how that stuff is done, editing techniques in music, song structure, theatrics, vocals, working with other artists and collaborating, believe it or not, is kind of a learning experience too. What they like to do, what they implement in their stuff, how you can implement that into your stuff, and going from there. Because I've collaborated on a lot of music so far, on even songs that I didn't write. I released a song called the was it Pokemon Champion? I didn't write that. At least not the first half of the song. The second half I wrote because I felt that it needed to be longer. And so the original song was like a 2 minute song. I was like, I can't have that. That's not me. My standard, my quality standard had to be higher. And so I did 3 guitar solos and extended it. And then on top of that, I wasn't happy. And so then I rewrote a second half of the song and then did solos for that. And then I released it. And at the end of the day, it ended up being a 6 minute song. And I was like, okay, now I'm happy. What I did was I took the inspiration from that artist and built on it, and then created something that, one, that got his approval, and two, uh, made it in a way that he couldn't even imagine. So it can get crazy. It can get crazy. So anyway, that's all I had on it. I know we've been talking for over an hour. That was like to be expected because I can talk and I can tangent quite a bit because, like I said, I've been doing interviews like this for years, and we could just talk about the smallest of things, and then that can turn into subjects that we didn't even know we were going to be talking about. And
It's completely
but
fine.
I think you're doing a great thing doing what you're doing, trying to connect with other content creators and doing this setup. As far as advertising goes for my channel, HardPokeMusic, if you like electronic music and Pokemon, my channel is for you. And it doesn't even you don't even have to be obsessed with Pokemon. I am trying to make music that everybody can like that happens to be Pokemon themed. Like I said, my coworkers, they listen to this stuff and they're like, I don't even know anything about Pokemon, but this is a good song. Okay, it's a learning experience for them. And so they find the learning experience to be pretty cool too. And they're like, this is like better than music that's played on the radio. Hey, I mean, I'll take that as a compliment, but holy crap, like I spend a lot of time, doing this and writing, and it just sounds good when you hear those type of compliments. But regardless, I just this morning I had a Pokemon song. It's called Pokemon Come Ride. It released this morning at 3 a.m. my time, and considerably, it is one of the songs that I spent the most time on. It's more of a hard style song. So if you're into that type of music, the harder styles of electronic music, that song, I absolutely love it. I wrote it actually when I was in San Diego, and my family was on a vacation in San Diego, and I wrote that song while we were there, just in my head. I was like, okay, I kind of know what lyrics I want. And then when I got home, I implemented it and and struck. I started off with a beat, started off with the initial um, storyline and everything that I wanted, had a theme, and knew what I wanted. And then once the final product came out, I was so happy with it. I said, I hope someday that that song gets played at a show, like at like a major concert type of thing. It's like, do I reach out to DJs? Do I do that yet? That's another hurdle of mine is like, should I reach out to some of these? Because I have distribution. So I'm on Spotify, I'm on Apple Music, I'm on every iHeartRadio, I'm on all that. And do I contact a more popular label? Do I reach out to some of these DJs? Will they even reply to me? Will they even see my message? Say I want to send my lyrics to a popular artist to be able to sing that song, and then maybe I can get, you know, paid, for lack of a better word, uh, for when that song releases. Like, hey, I wrote that song. Now that it became a song on your album, it may be a hit, it may not be, it doesn't matter. But it's like, okay, do I get some sort of payment from that or anything? It's like, do I start that? I don't know if I'm there yet. That's just me being a critic of myself. It's like I feel that I need to be doing this for like a year plus before I start reaching out to major labels or producers or DJs. Be like, even if it's a low level DJ that's like opening for a higher level DJ, like, do you just want to play my song just for 2 minutes to see if like is the crowd gonna react to it? Is it gonna be catchy? Type of thing. And then if it sticks, we'll see. That's kind of the hurdle I'm at right.
Do you think there's any negative parts to sending them and if they don't reply back?
To me, that is the negative. When I don't get a reply back, and it's like, do they even check their messages? They probably get messaged a lot, being popular and all that type of stuff. And it's like, do I want the heartbreak of being denied like that? Maybe I'm not that good in their aspect. Maybe some of the things that I do in my music isn't good in their eyes and they don't want to play it. Maybe they want to say if it's lyrics, maybe they don't like the way that it's written. Uh, some of the lyrics that were used, all that type of stuff. Maybe it doesn't fit the genre that they cater to. And so that to me, aside from my self criticism, I'm like a little afraid to do. But I don't want to put that behind me though. That's still a thought. On every song, I still have that. Will somebody see this and say, "Hey, I want you to create a song for this game that I'm making." Oh wow! Now I got pressure, and not that I'm okay with that. Oh man, I that would be a dream, is to create a song for a game or a movie or or something of that, and and make that like a profession. And because I love doing this stuff, and I think that would be absolutely great, but I don't know when that would come. And so I want to create good music based off my standards, and if it comes naturally, awesome. I don't really want to push it. I don't want to be annoying and be like, "Hey, Eminem, can you rap this song for me?" You know what I mean? It's like, no, you're a scrub. Like, you're a nobody. Why should I take these lyrics? It's like, maybe I should build up my reputation a little bit more and get videos out and work on some of that type of stuff before I start reaching out to some of the bigger names and all that. And just to see, because like I said, I'm working with indie people, I'm working with people that don't have names on the internet, and it's like maybe they'll get big. You never know, as to what'll happen. It's like, okay, now I'm out of the job. They got the job, I'm out of the job, even though I did all the work minus the vocals. But you never know what's going to come of it. But I do have that in the back of the head, Is like, do I want to reach out to my favorite DJs and say, hey, I know it's a Pokemon song and it may not cater to the majority of your listener base, but I do believe this is a great hardstyle song. It's got all the aspects of what a hardstyle song is and would be, and I think it's absolutely perfect, and I think people would honestly like it, even if they don't know anything about Pokemon. They could probably get behind that song, or at least how it's structured, and maybe listen to it or download it on their free time and listen to it on a bus or something. And that's what I want, is to create those types of songs. I don't want to just create a song and get it played at a show for 30 seconds and then it's on to the next song and it's like, okay, yeah, yeah, I want I want a song that people can actually get behind and listen to it in their car while they're on their commute. And so I think about that type of stuff. And like I said, I want to build up the reputation a little bit more. I want to create more good music because I want the sample size to be big. If somebody of a major record label or anything, and somebody's coming to me and they're like, hey, we like your music, but you only have two songs that we would really want to implement into what we're doing. Can you create more? Well, of course I could create more. What if I, so that could be a conversation someday. What I'm trying to do is beat that. I'm actually trying to throw a lot of content out there and do multiple different genres and not just do one song of a certain genre. I want to do 12 songs of a certain genre. So that sample pool is like, okay, that song was good. Let's hear what track two had and see what he did there. And I was like, okay, he used different instruments and he used a different tempo. Okay, let's see what track three is. Wow, you implemented a choir? Like what? How do you even get a choir in this? That is there's a lot of aspects that I want to implement in music creation that I think that people would enjoy. At least the people that are around me, they've my the upcoming album, I don't have a name for it. It's just an orchestral album basically. Still unnamed, and the people that are around me that are listening to these songs, they're like, man, this is good. I was like, I can't release this song yet. Like, I just can't, because Apple Music will let me release a single song, and I don't want to release it as a song or a single. I want to release it as part of an album because I'm trying to get that sample pool up. In the case that, yeah, you listener, you like that one song of that genre, here's some others that you can listen to. I don't want you to wait 3 months for another song to come up that that may be in that genre that you like. And so that's why I kind of have that deadline, as you could say. So
A teacher of mine has always said that confidence without skill is better than skill without confidence because it forces you to make the first step. Do you disagree with that?
no, I don't disagree with that. The skill will come over time. You don't you don't actually have to be okay. To be able to get in front of the camera, that's confidence. To be able to sit here and talk for 2 hours is skill. It's like there's charismatics, and like you could be charismatic all you want in joke making, comedy, all that. But at the end of the day, it's like, was it informative? Was it funny? Was it, you know, entertaining, to say the least? And so that's kind of the skill side. Confidence is sitting here being on camera doing content, right? And then the skill will come. The skill is in editing. The skill is in whatever you're going to create next and the things that you learn and implement into the future content. That comes over time. You don't just, okay, so there are some people that are born with skill. There's some people that can sing. I can't sing. I have other people sing for me. I've tried singing. I can manipulate my voice, and I've done it. And to me, it's just not as good as somebody else singing. I feel that, and then there's the self criticism behind that. I am not skilled in singing whatsoever. And so I have to rely on other people for that. But to say that maybe I could get vocal lessons and I could learn more so how to sing, and then that's a skill that will eventually develop. Video editing is a big one. It's a learning curve. Some people may catch on to it, faster than others. That is a skill. Being technologically capable of working the computer programs and all that type of stuff is a skill compared to, say, somebody that is maybe older or just not as skilled into that. Maybe they, growing up, they did other things and they have specific skills that they have that you may not have. And so you need the confidence to be able to be outgoing, to be able to talk to people, to be able to do things and try and at least attempt to succeed, right? And failures are good too. Failures will happen and you learn off of those failures, and maybe that's a skill, right? So yeah, I think your teacher is absolutely correct.
Well, that's all that I have. Any last words?
Yeah, if you like the content, subscribe to my channel. I'm working on subscribers for that. Thank you, Mr. Founder, for having me, talking with you, being able to talk about this stuff because I'm really passionate about this. I know so much about audio and sound engineering, and it's not even my profession. And I just enjoy talking to people and doing this type of stuff. And I'm still continuing to create music. I'm still writing music. I'm still trying to find inspiration. I'm talking to a lot of people. I'm on a lot of Discords doing social networking, all that type of stuff, and talking to people just in general, getting people to listen to my music and get criticism, hopefully constructive criticism, just feedback in general. I always enjoy feedback. But I got some upcoming stuff that I think you'll enjoy. I hope that other people that eventually, if they ever do come across my music, I hope that they will enjoy it, as well as I have future projects of maybe doing some other content, like video content of how I make songs or how I do certain things in DAWs. And on my part, it's just time. Like I said, it's not my day job. I have a 9 to 5 career that I should say I'm obligated to, but it does pay the bills. So, but regardless, it's just time, and I gotta find the work life balance and all that. But I have upcoming projects and upcoming songs that I hope a lot of people will like, and we'll see what comes of it, man. I'm just gonna create content and create songs that I like that I want to jam out to, and I hope that other people will too as well. So again, I can give you all my contact. I'm HardPokeMusic on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, pretty much anything that you could stream music off of. I should be there. I'm on Discord, on Mr. Founder's Discord, as well as a lot of other Discords. And yeah, just reach out to me and we could talk or subscribe if you like my music, and I'll keep on keeping on.